Well, howdy there, folks. This is your host, idjester. Welcome back. Sword of the Stars 2, the basics. So we've gone through pretty much the last couple episodes talking about how the game's set up, what you should be doing, how the different things operate, and I think we've got our fleets all designed to do something here. You can see they're all doing something here, surveying in 10 turns, relocating in 2 turns, relocating in 2 turns, and colonizing Webster 1. So those are our fleets. We've got our system building some ships here, which will create a new fleet here, and we are ready to go on to the next turn. So we'll hit the button. Normally 2, 1, but I've turned that off in the options. And we've now colonized a new planet. You can see we are losing money on this planet. Yay for us. We are getting a little bit of industrial output already. That's good. We can rename it, which I think Webster 1 is just fine with me. And we will hit OK. You see your little messages down here. Admiral has been promoted. So we've got this new admiral, Mac, or has just been promoted to admiral. You can click on these little arrows here if there's any other thing. First colonization fleet is established a new colony or Webster 1 in the Webster system. That looks like all the important things here. And you can see, more importantly, you can see our little fleets are headed out to do their jobs. We can click on the fleet. You can then see how long it's going to take before they arrive at their destination. That's going to be 1 more turn. That's going to be it's going to be 9 more turns, but that comes into play distance to get there and also completing the mission. And we got our survey fleet that's relocating over here. We'll be done with that here shortly. We see our money situation up here. We can also see our research. So, yep, everything's going along just fine. I don't need to really micromanage anything this turn. We will move on. End the turn.
The new colony is self-sufficient now, Supreme.
Yes, I am your Supreme Commander. So basically what happens is once your colony has arrived, your colonization fleet, it'll spend a little bit of time unloading the colonies, setting them up, getting things organized, and yada yada yada. So when that's done, you'll have this option to either continuing developing, supporting your colony, or you can stop doing that and have it available to do a new mission. And it'll actually tell you here, first colonization fleet is finished developing support for your colony on Webster 1 in Webster. You can continue support for this colony if you wish to stimulate population and infrastructure growth, which is going to take an additional 5 turns. Or we can just finish colonizing it and move on to the next colony, or have it available for the next mission. Of course, here's all the information about your colony. It's terraforming, infrastructure here, ship construction, your planetary budgets. Right now, of course, these are the same sliders you can use in the normal screen. You can over-harvest it again on this screen here. It tells you how many people are on the system. So the question is, do we want to continue supporting it, or do we want to just finish it and move on and let it do its own support and get up and running its own self? Well, we remember just last turn 1, we started building a new colonization fleet, which is going to take 4 turns to finish building. So if we finish colonizing this right now, we would have it available to start another planet right away, and then in 4 turns we would have another colonization fleet ready to go out and colonize our third system. Or we can just wait the 5 turns here and finish our colonization fleet up. So yeah, it's kind of a tough debate here. I will go ahead and just, because I'm building another colonization fleet, I'm not really going to need this right away. So I will just continue supporting this, and we'll see if we can get this working much better right off the bat. So we'll continue supporting it. That's fine for 5 more turns. Alright, our second survey fleet has successfully been relocated to Altera. So if we click on Altera and we zoom in, which we need to do, we will see, and I'm going to rotate it here so it's a little easier to see. Remember before we had 0 of 6, we now have 5 of 6 cruiser equivalents. Again, it's not carrier equivalents, it's cruiser equivalents stationed in this system. So obviously this is going to be the only fleet that's going to be able to use this as its home system for a little while until we can get this system up and running. But now that this has been relocated here, you will notice that if we go into the fleets of this system, we have 0 in reserve, we have 0 in defense, and we have a second survey fleet that has no mission. So we definitely want to send that out on a mission. So we got to look around and see. We already got one going to this system here. So what else is pretty close? It looks good. We got this red system up here. What does this have in it? It has 1 world, so probably not the best of choices. We have a red world down there that's got 2, or a red system that has 2. We have this yellow one way over there, but it's only got 1. We have this orange system here that's got 1, 2, 3, 4 planets in it. That might be worth sending a survey over. So let's see how far that is. If we go to the top-down view, we can kind of see, because we've rebased here, we'd only have to go out and back instead of going all the way back from our home system. So that extra travel time is 2 out and 2 back. So it saves us 4 turns by just rebasing this out here. So 1, 2, 3. Let's survey this system. Survey, and of course we have our second survey fleet, which is in our system here. It's going to take 9 turns, 6 to travel and 3 to go ahead and survey the system. And we will confirm and exit. Alright, so we got a couple more out there. We're going to kind of leave these red stars alone for right now until we try out the orange and the yellow ones. Unfortunately for us, the only yellow system that's close has only got 1 planet on it. This one way over there has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but that is a boatload of distance away. And I don't know if our range is actually, or our endurance or whatever it's called in this, is going to be far enough. Alright, so we should have also first construction fleet has successfully been relocated. Same thing, if we zoom in on Gamma here, we will notice it's 4 of 6 of our cruiser equivalents, as opposed to our carrier equivalents, cruiser equivalents. But now we can start doing things like building these systems, star bases on here. So what we'll do is we'll click on our system, click on the location, we will right click and we will go to build station. We're going to have a choice here of the naval, science, diplomatic, civilian, and mining are grayed out. I believe you can't do those until you have certain research, or it must be a certain kind of system. I'm not exactly 100% sure on that. And so we can either do a science or we can do a naval. This system here, if you recall from last episode, maybe a couple episodes ago, let's actually cancel on this so we can show you what I'm talking about. Remember, this system here has a really high industrial output. So if we can get a shipyard built on this star base, naval yard, naval base, we should be able to crank out some ships pretty reasonably. If we look at our home system, it only has an industrial output of 8,432. So this other system actually is got more industrial capacity and output than our home system. So having a naval yard on this system, I think, would be a very good thing. So again, click the location, right click, build a station. We're going to build a naval station. We're going to choose our first construction fleet. And it's only going to take 3 turns. Notice there's no travel time, and that's because we relocated them here to save us that time. Here's our admiral, who is an architect. It's going to give us a 10% increase in construction points while running construction missions. Obviously, good idea to have him in a construction fleet. Hikari Tokdayo. Sounds good. And so we will confirm and exit. Alright, coming right along. We're coming right along. So we got our construction fleet doing its thing. We got our rebased survey fleet doing its thing. We have our other survey fleet headed out there. And we have our colonization fleet still supporting that new colony. If we look at our fleets in our home system here, you will notice we now have 1 ship in reserve. In fact, if we click on the reserves, double click, single click, double click, triple click, quadruple click. Maybe it's still building that ship. Maybe that's why. Oh, maybe we got to hit the little arrow. You can see that we have 1 command ship built. That's a ship. It's a command ship, which is part of our fleet that we're creating. So it completed the command ship. It's busy building the rest of those ships up. And we'll, once those are done, we'll look at creating a fleet. So we got first construction fleet has been relocated. You can actually click on this little ticker down here and hold your left mouse button. You can actually drag it back and forth in case you miss a message here. Webster 1 is self-sufficient. It's been relocated. Construction fleet and ship constructed at Webster. There we go. All the important details. You can see our little progress bar going around our research here. Our income. Let's look at our income again. You can see things are kind of expensive in this game. I think what we might want to do is crank our taxes back up to 5. I believe they start at 5. I'm assuming that's the norm right in the middle. You know what? It's 20,000. Oh, jeez. But 20,000 is 20,000, you know? If we turn our stimulus down a little bit, we'll get over 40,000. Our security here is right at 0. We're good to go. Alright, hitting the next turn here.
System update.
System update. Alright, first colonization fleet has delivered additional support to Webster 1. Yep. Okay. Anything else? Oop, go back. A ship has been constructed. Yep, we can obviously see we now have 2 ships. Remember, we built 4, so it's going to be another turn or 2. We'll get that done. Our star base is, naval base is still under construction over there. If we wanted to check on the progress, we can go into the station manager. Nope, doesn't show us the progress on it. Okay, that's fine. Oh, right there it is. First construction fleet, 2 more turns to get that done. Alright. And a couple more turns, we'll have this out here, but it's still going to take a couple turns for it to survey the system. We've arrived at this system. We're still surveying it to find out what's there. Hopefully, if we find something good, we can get our colonization fleet out there right away and get it colonized, which should be built here in a couple turns.
System update.
System update. What do we got? What do we got? Anything? Not a lot of anything. We supported Webster 1. Invoice is complete. Alright, so that's good news. So if we click on this, we will see we have our 4 ships in reserve. So what we want to do at this point is we have these ships. They're not costing us as much maintenance because they're not in operational mode. They're kind of just there at the docks. We're not using up fuel or not using up people run the ship and all that. So they're charged for maintenance for these ships are a lot less than normal. But we want to create a new fleet, so we have these guys available. Once we create a new fleet, we will actually then be paying full price for them because they are in operational status. So I'm hoping to create this fleet, find something here, which would be really cool, send our guy out there right away. I would rather get the systems that we don't own anything on as opposed to sending them over here, which I know we got a system over here. But we can always get this system because nobody's going to come over here and try to colonize in there because we already own that. Well, if they want to come over here and do that, then it would be a declare war. We will kill them and crush them. Aha. Alright, so obviously try to get the systems we don't own. Obviously high priority. Alright, so surveying there. We got our other ship, which is still on his way. Has he arrived yet? Oh, it looks like he's just about there. Look at that. Almost. Almost there. Alright. So normally I wouldn't take as much time, but I'm trying to explain to you step by step here the basics of what's going on and getting a good understanding of how the beginning of the game goes will help you throughout the game. Alright. So let's worry about creating this fleet. So we got these 4 ships in reserve, or do we want to wait a turn? There's no sense in creating the fleet yet, because all it's going to do is cost us full maintenance on them until we have. Well, we do have somewhere we can send them right there. How much longer is this going to take? That's a good question. That is a great question, as a matter of fact. 6 more turns. Okay. Wow. Alright, here's what we're going to do. We're going to create a fleet, or construction fleet. We're going to send it up here, and it's going to actually do Ultra 3 or 2 or whatever the good system is there. In the meantime, this guy is going to still survey this, and by the time he's done, our other colonization fleet will be done supporting our system. In fact, let's check on our newfound planet and see if we're doing any better. So yes, much better already. We're up to 1,697 industrial output. I think just a turn or two ago it was like at 5 something another-ish. You notice our income, instead of being minus 10,000, only minus 2,000. So definitely having that colonization fleet help out is getting this, obviously, I think, getting it to a better state. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to create our fleet. So what we're going to do here is we're going to click on the create the fleet button. And this could take us a little while because I want to step you through because, again, it's another important aspect of what's going on in the game. So when you click on create a fleet, the first thing that's going to come up, each fleet must have an admiral. So you can auto assign an admiral, or you can select your admiral yourself. We're going to select our admiral ourselves. So it's going to list all of our admirals here, and you can see the admirals that currently are assigned to fleets with their fleet name underneath it. You can see we now have this admiral here, and each of the admirals comes with a little bit of information about them, and most of them come with a trait, either good or bad. And you can look at them, and this is going to give us 10% reduction of fleet supply costs per turn. Fleet supply costs per turn, okay? And this is a skeptic. Ships in the fleet minus 20% psionic point totals. We also have wastrel, 10% increase of fleet supply cost per turn. So this guy's really bad admiral. And he's going to cost us, in just about every fleet we assign him, an extra 10% per turn. So we want this guy killed. This guy here is minus 20% in psionic point total, which is not going to be that bad for a colonization fleet. And the reason I wouldn't add this to this fleet is I would probably add this guy to a fleet that I'm going to use as maybe a offensive or defensive fleet that I'm hoping to keep around the whole game. Colonization fleet, I could always, if I don't, eventually we're not going to need those ships to colonize anything anymore. We can get rid of them, so there's no sense in getting rid of a good admiral for that. So this guy isn't going to hurt us if we put him on a colonization fleet. So I will hit him to have him. Here's his loyalty, reaction, evasion, years. Yeah. Alright, so this will be our second colony fleet. We'll say OK. Alright, so we have our ships, which will be here. So we actually only have 3 ships. That's interesting. So we have the supply, we have the 2 colonizers. We're just going to drag that over there, drag that over there. So now this should have, okay, it's got all 4. There we go. It's got a command ship, it's got the supply ship, and it's got the 2 colonizers. And we've just dragged them over from our empty base reserves over into the name of our new fleet. And now what we want to do is open the fleet manager. We'll say OK there, get that guy out of the way. The fleet manager basically is a 3D portrayal of where you're going to position your ships in the fleet. So you can see there is an upper layer, up there, a middle layer, and a lower layer. So if you wanted to have your ships on the bottom or on the top, and it depends on how you design your ships. You could have all the firepower on the right hand side, so you could put that ship on the right hand side knowing that it's not going to have to shoot left. So lots of interesting things you can do there. So we're going to click on our second colony fleet over here, and you can see how many command points it uses up, our endurance rating, all the information about our different ships. And basically you can position your ships however you want on the map. So we can take our command ship and we just drag it over here, and we've got to actually drag the ship over. So there's our command ship. Let's zoom in and check it out. Ooh, cool. There's our first ship we ever built, ladies and gentlemen. Alright. So that's the command ship. That's where, the command is for everything. Then we're going to take our supply ship and our colonizers. So really designing your fleet here for something as simple as a colonizing fleet. You're not going to really, hopefully, be attacking with this. So you really don't have to worry much about where the different positions of the ships are. But I want to do this to kind of show you, give you an overview of how to do this when we actually run across an attack fleet. So there you go. We just command ship up front, our 2 colonizers on the side, and our supply ship in the back. In fact, we can move these guys around a little bit and position them. So you can see the strategy involved in this. We could actually create a ship that has all of the really good weapons on the right hand side, and so it's just shooting out to the right, and maybe not so much on the left hand side. Same thing over here. You can have ones that shoot out to the left. Obviously the one you want to put in the front, you might want to have really good armor up in the front nose of it, and Of course, when you get to the tactical battle, you're not going to keep them all in this exact position, but you know, that kind of gives you an overview of what's going on. Of course, it defaults to the middle quadrant there of where you're positioning your ships. If you want to position them up higher for whatever reason, maybe you have some faster ships that you want to position up higher so they can get by all the slower ships and, you know, whatever. So that's how you design your fleets. And you can click on these buttons down here at the bottom that give you different formations. If you wanted to go to the upper layer or the lower layer or whatever. And let's see, hit the back button, I think. Yes? Yep, there we go. We got our second colony fleet. It's got all of our ships in it. It's got no mission. So what we're going to do here is we're going to look at Altera again. Now, which one was it? It was Altera number... I think it was this guy right there, which is Altera 2. So we're going to send our second colony fleet out there to Altera 2. So we're going to select our location, select our mission here, which is colonize. We're going to choose which object is going to do the mission, which is going to be our second colony fleet. And we're going to confirm and exit. So that's how that works out. Now notice we can send the ships up here to work in the system. They just can't be housed here based upon this cruiser number. Okay, you know, speaking of the devil, where is our... Oh, one more turn. I was going to say, where is our star base over here? Because we want to talk about them. This guy's still surveying. That guy's almost there. So that's how you set up a fleet. Create a fleet from scratch. You got to build the ships. They'll go in the reserves. Once they're in the reserves, you have all the ships. You can then assign them to a fleet, create a fleet. First thing you got to do is choose an admiral, and then you're going to choose the ships from your reserve to add to that fleet. It's not that hard, but once you see it done and you do it a few times, it's pretty easy. Pretty easy. Not too bad. That's a great background for this. Wow. Awesome. Okay. So I think we are done with the turn, yes? Alright. Nothing else interesting. Nothing on the ticker. Webster 1 has been supported. That should be ending here shortly. Our invoice has been complete. These are the ships we just put together. And shows you where they were built. And we are done. Notice our money are gone down the tubes there. And we still got 14 turns left on our research. Soon to be 13.
The colony you founded is well established.
Well established. Okay. So you can see the climate hazard very low now, which is really good. Our resources not bad, 5,351. Income, we're only losing just a little bit of money, and that will get better and better as the more population gets on there. We'll be able to tax them. Our industrial output is getting to be a little bit better. Infrastructure starting to climb up there, so we will finish colonizing.
A small naval outpost has
All
been
right.
constructed, Varkona.
So we have our Gamma station. So what we're going to do is rename this to Gamma Naval Station. Gamma Naval Station. Naval, dummy. Oh, I can fit it all in there. Alright. So we'll say okay. It shows you a little bit of information about it, but we're going to look at that in more in depth right now, actually. So if we click on our system here, Gamma System, you'll notice one of our little bubbles has been filled in with a little anchor there that represents our naval station. You will also notice one of the most important things that we haven't talked about. Well, we have talked about, but look at our number. It has now gone from 4 of 6 to 4 of 21. We can now support up to 21 cruiser equivalents on this system. We only currently have 4. So we could now move over another, we could rebase a different, we could build a new fleet, or we could rebase a different fleet over here, because we now have plenty of room just by building that naval station. So if we click on Gamma, right click, we will go down to our station manager. And of course, right now we only have the one station on here, so let's click on it and show you what we got. So there are modules you can then build for your station. It shows you how many you currently have and what the maximum number is. And you can eventually upgrade your stations so you can have more modules on them. You can also turn on automatic upgrades, so it'll just do its own thing, or you can manually do it. And if you mouse over each one of these things, it will actually tell you what it does down there under the module description. So this structure stores goods and supplies the station needs to grow and improves its operations. On a naval base, each warehouse module increases the base support capacity by 2 CE. CE is cruiser equivalents. So the base support capacity by 2 cruiser equivalents, I believe, is what that means. Sensors. Stations need sensors in order to direct traffic and scan for threats. On a naval station, each sensor module increases tactical sensor range by 500 meters, strategic sensor range by 0.5 light years, and adds 5% to the chance of detecting close ships on the strategic map. Command. Naval base command modules direct system defenses. Each module increases the system defenses assets size by 1 cruiser equivalent. Docks. These robust tower docks are key parts of any station's functions on a naval base. They act as an auxiliary construction yard, increasing shipbuilding efficiency by 2% for each dock. And repair, obviously, is going to probably give us a repairability, increasing it by 10%. Helps optimize repairing ships after battles. Each one increases the system's repairability by 10%. So lots of good options we can add, but as we start adding these, we can click on the buttons here to add a certain number. So we can add 1. We can just click on max, and it'll just build 3 of them. Again, you can click on the automatic upgrades. One of the best things this naval station does, obviously, is it takes up by a bunch, right by default, our cruiser equivalents that we can have on that system. So what we want to do here, again, because this is going to be a really good system for us building things because of its great resources and industrial output, I think what we want to do is increase our shipbuilding efficiency by 2%. So if we click on the arrow there, it will build our 1. It's going to cost us $45,000. Alright, and we will confirm the build order and hit OK. So that's what our bases are going to do. That's one of the bases. The next thing we're going to look at is doing a research base. So we now know that this construction fleet is completed its project here. So we have a free construction fleet to do something. So we're going to maybe it's not free. Let's see. Oh, it actually shows it's still in the process of constructing the naval yard. Maybe it has to do the upgrades as well. I didn't know that. Okay. I did not know that. Okay, no biggie. We'll let it do its upgrade then. That's fun. What else do we have? These guys are still going out. Our colonization. Here's our new colonization fleet. Colony fleet. This guy's still not done. 5 turns. This guy is taking his sweet ass time too. Well, we haven't run into any hostiles yet. That might be a good thing because we haven't actually built any offensive ships. Alright, and there's only so much you can do. I'd love to have another construction crew building some more bases on our systems, but we don't have enough money to build the ships and also build the bases and have the upkeep. So we're not at that point where we got enough money coming in yet. And of course our researching is taking a very long time. But we've only been actually 6 turns in the game, even though we've spent quite a long time on it. But that's only because we're trying to go slow to show you how things operate. Alright, so that's self-sufficient. Let's look at Webster 1. Let's take a look at the grand total here so far. So we got a pretty good population started there. Civilian population starting to climb up there a little bit. Infrastructure, ship construction, terraforming. Okay, because we're losing money. We got to get some money. So 1279, 1280. We'll remember that, and we'll see how it does in a couple turns. We'll compare and see if that sucker's going to make us some good money or not. I think this one, Webster 2, is going to end up doing better than Altera 2, because Altera is going to take a little bit longer to get that sucker up and running. But we're going to see that in the next episode. So thanks for watching. Again, this is Sword of the Stars 2. Appreciate you watching, giving your thoughts, your input, suggestions. If you see anything, have any comments, just leave them below. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching, folks.